that's out in theaters now is called Somewhere in Montana. It's a story of the times. I play a LA director, and my friend Graham McTavish plays a Montana rancher, and it's a story of the times, and that people don't know how to see each other, they don't know how to talk to each other anymore, and it's a great script, crafted by Brandon Smith, the writer and the director of the film, where two people from two different worlds are thrust upon each other in an impossible situation that they have to work their way out of. So, it delves deep into legacy and American legacy. It dives deep into respect. And I've always found this in my life, that respect is the highest form of love that you can give another person. So it's just a really powerful story. Yeah, I'm just really excited to be a part of it and share a little bit more about it with you guys tonight.
Well, I will say I was intrigued by the synopsis of it, so I did add it onto my Letterboxd watch list. So as soon as it's available somewhere for streaming, I will see it. But
absolutely, it sounds like it's right there with topics nowadays, things that are going on, things that people do have a hard time navigating in. So
yeah. What we love so much about the film, because it really is such an ensemble piece, and the cast and the crew just really came together for this one, is it's a story that's bigger than all of us, and it's a conversation starter, and I think it really gives us a path forward. And I mean, as an actor growing up, this is the type of story I've always wanted to tell, things that I felt like were bigger than myself, and I feel like we all really became a family telling this one, because we knew the power in it. And so just really proud of it. And yeah, I'll share all the updates on my social media. I'll tell you all about that at the end. But yeah, it's just a really great story, and there's nothing better than shooting in beautiful Montana.
I can imagine. I mean, just watching Yellowstone, Jesus, it seems like beautiful land.
God's wallpaper.
Well, things I could say there, but I'm not going to. This is not my paranormal show. I ain't getting religion. But, well, folks, you can find out at the end of the show where to find Matt and where to follow him to find out more about his movies and any future movies he may happen to be in, or direct or write. I don't know what he's got planned. But
I make it easy. I have it all on my Instagram at Matt Drago, MattDrago. From there, you've got a link tree. It's got my actor website, mattdrago.com. I also have a production company, dragonhunterproductions.com. My wife's maiden name is actually Hunter. So Dragon and Hunter, Drago and Hunter makes Dragon Hunter Productions. You've also got my IMDb, so all my past and future projects. So just give me a follow at Instagram, and I'll keep you posted with all the updates for this film and anything else that's going on in my life or career.
That is freaking Dragon Hunter. That's awesome. How about that?
I feel like that couldn't have worked out any more perfect.
Yeah, it really did work out for sure. Many ways, right. But definitely for the name too.
Did you guys watch How to Train Your Dragon and have a blast watching that movie then? Because I just feel like that's been a movie I've been thinking about a ton lately for some crazy reason.
100%, Jamie. And every time that we went to the movie theater, she covered up the N. How to Train Your Drago.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know why. It's just that movie's been on my mind lately. It's something I guess I need to watch. Not sure.
It's a great one, and they got a new one coming out soon. I'm really excited about.
Maybe that's why I'm thinking about it so much.
It might be a great soundtrack too. You might have to have me back on.
Ooh, yeah, true. Very true.
Possible. Very possible. I can't say I've seen a single one of those damn movies, but I don't know why. I never took a chance to watch any of them, but I have kids too. That surprises me more than anything. But, well, as always, folks, we asked our guests to bring on an album that they love, that means something to them, that has some significance to them. And this week's album was a little surprising that our guests wanted to bring, but not disappointment, just surprising. So what album did you want to bring, Matt, and why this one?
I grew up on The Godfathers. I mean, Al Pacino growing up was somebody that I really gleaned a lot of as an actor, and, just the nuance of, his eyes and the little subtleties that he brought to characters, along with De Niro. I mean, growing up as a young Sicilian kid with two New York parents, I just was immersed in the world of it. And I think I've realized, especially now producing and also being part of films, how much music really is impactful. I was one of those weird kids that would work out to the John Williams or the Hans Zimmer albums, at the Equinox on the Upper West Side in New York City. So I love soundtracks, but even more so what they bring to a story. I mean, you can't watch these films without these soundtracks. And one of my favorites, obviously, Godfather. I mean, you take Nino Rota's score out of that movie, and it's still great for the acting, but it doesn't completely come together. And I think soundtracks are sometimes, the thing that's looked over because it's in the background. You're focusing on so many other things when you're experiencing a film. But I will say, especially when I first saw Somewhere in Montana, and Nolan and Jason Livesey are the composers for that one. A great brother tandem. I just was blown away because I didn't even realize how the final cut was going to come out in the film. And there's just some wonderful things that they do in certain scenes that just bring so much. It's like another character in the film. And that's why I figured I'd go back to the beginning and go back to a film that shaped me and gave me that, track of just absolutely immersing myself in stories and the love of the game. And one of my favorite films, The Godfathers.
Well, fuck it, I'll go first in this one, I guess. Yeah, I was the same way growing up as a Italian American. I literally can remember the day I was home alone on a Saturday as a teenager, instead of getting in trouble like most teenagers would. I literally sat at home and watched all 3 Godfathers in a row with like 2 bags of marshmallows and like a 12-pack of soda. Because, I was a fat kid. And I was literally blown away after seeing these movies. I mean, because of course I've seen references to them up to that point as a kid, but never really got them. And I finally watched these movies, the whole trilogy in a row, and blown the fuck away at like 10, 11, 12, where the hell I was, years old. Like, it was just such a mate. And I didn't even know what good movies were at that point, really. Besides Star Wars, because Star Wars. But, I mean, it just blew me away. I always was fascinated with the mafia life because of being Italian. So, like, that always fascinated me. But seeing this movie was just fucking incredible. I mean, Marlon Brando I love him in everything he does, basically. Even movies I don't like, I like his role in. So, it's just, I mean, what's it? I love the smell of napalm in the morning. What the fuck's it called? Oh my god. How am I forgetting this war movie that's famous? Oh, Apocalypse Now. Yeah, duh. Yeah, like, I actually do not like that movie at all, except for Marlon Brando. Like, it's the only, he has most of that good movie is basically his one scene, and that's it. Like, his one scene is basically the good scene. But so many good actors in those movies. Just a fucking, and then the soundtrack. You're right. You can't do those movies without the soundtrack. The Godfather theme was my fucking ringtone for my first cell phone. Like,
all right. So I'm on the right show.
Like, when you picked this, I was like, there's so many movie soundtracks people could have picked, and I would have been like, why? Especially one with like no lyrics even. But this one, I was like, of course you picked this one. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah. Well, and I also just came back from Sicilia. It's the first time that I went back home. My family is originally from Calasciabetta, which is right in the middle of Sicily. And I went with my cousin John, and we toured around Sicily and, hit all the, hot spots around town and just did not have a plan at all. And when we, arrived to our last spot, and we started to, dig through some of these documents because I'm really trying to get my birthright citizenship in becoming an Italian. It was just a magical day that I'll always remember. I really feel like that soundtrack was playing in my head the whole time, because I think a big part of what they did with The Godfather is they really wanted it to be authentic, and that was a big thing for everybody involved, Coppola, Puzo, Everybody involved really wanted it to feel like, you know, you were stepping back in time. And I think that's a really, really wonderful thing. And in fact, even Carmine, who is Francis Ford Coppola's father, wrote some of the music in the opening wedding scene, which I think is really special. So everybody really kind of brought their authentic, you know, kind of taste to this incredible film. And I really did. When I was in Kalashabeta and going through these documents, it was just a really special time because I got to see like the writings of my great grandfather Cologero, and just kind of realize, you know, that we are all part of, you know, a story that came before us, right? And what I found out with my family, which was very interesting, and the reason why I'm here talking to you right now, is that my grandfather was the youngest of 8 kids, and he was the only one that decided to board a boat to come to America. And I think about that all the time. I mean, think about having 7 older siblings, and you're the only one that, you know, takes the leap of faith to travel halfway across the world to find, you know, something new and something, you know, that no other person in the family had ever done. And it's a really special day. I mean, again, this music was playing for me the whole time, but there was one day, and it was actually the only day that rained while John and I were in Sicily for the 2 weeks that we were there. And it happened to be the day that we, you know, went searching for our relatives at the mausoleums. And we were walking through the mausoleums in Kalashabeta. It started to rain. The wind started to pick up. You know, John was in the front looking at the, you know, the book, you know, because it's really hard to find people with like the way that these mausoleums are structured. And I really, he was trying to talk to the guy and, you know, broken English, broken Italian. And at one point I said, John, you know, I'm just going to actually take a walk and see if I can find anything. And I don't know how, but the wind started to howl. You could hear the glass rattling of the mausoleums. I took a left, a right, a left, and I just like looked up, and there was Giuseppa Drago, my great great aunt, and her picture was there with the flowers, and I just started crying. It was a very emotional thing for me. So when I think about that, I think about The Godfather. I think about growing up as an actor. I think about the power of this story and why it got me into storytelling. And then it was that full circle moment when I was in Sicily. So yeah, that's why I brought this one in today.
Respect it. I mean, I respect it. I can't say I've gotten a chance to go to the other side of the ocean yet, but it's on my bucket list at some point. Maybe when my kids are older and I can actually freaking go somewhere, you know. But and my dog dies. But until then, it's not going to be a chance in hell it's happening. But eventually, but you couldn't have picked a better album. I mean, and for an album that has no lyrics, you'll never hear me say this most times, but 5 out of 5 stars in this album, 100%. But Jamie, what did you think?
Well, first off, I have to admit, I had it written down backwards. I thought this was Jeremy's choice and the other was your choice. So now knowing that, like, doesn't change anything because I still gave it a 4-star review. I mean, I'm Italian myself, and knowing that I had a very, very short period of time with my great grandmother who came from Italy. I'm pretty sure they're from the area of down south in that area that you were mentioning, but I'm not 100% on that one. But just knowing that how close my family was over the years, like they talk about this movie and a few others and stuff like that, and the music was a big thing for us that we enjoyed out of the movie was honestly the music. So bringing up this album, I'm like, hey, this reminds me a little bit just of some of the music that we would have playing at the house here and there, and just old memories. And I mean, I know there was a lot more memories that I can't remember because I was a baby, but we spent a lot of time hanging out with family, and I definitely love that aspect. So regardless, all of our choices are great today. So I'm happy. I think I gave everybody 4 stars. Won't lie.
Well, and I say, I mean, too bad if I get when I drink enough, I start doing Vito Corleone impressions. But I ain't at that point yet, so we'll see. if I get there or not. But I doubt it. It's a work night, so I doubt it. But what would you say your
I,
top 5 tracks off this are? I'm dying to hear it.
Oh, I mean, honestly, I can't really pick any because it's a full compilation for me. I mean, the Godfather waltz for me is just it sweeps me away to again like the hills that I found myself immersed in Sicily. I did. I really feel like if Sicily could sing, it would sing the Godfather waltz. You know what I mean? Like I feel like if the Hills of Sicily could sing, it would be that song. And I think what's so dynamic about the film and the score is it really does pay homage not just to the roots of Sicily and obviously the tones of mafia, but it really does show the very intricate dynamic of a very very complicated family, and so I think the Godfather waltz, even though the major melody is simplistic to some, it's so rich and beautiful at the same time, and I think that's probably why it makes my one of my favorite songs of all time.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. The whole album is freaking amazing, and there aren't many tracks, so to pick a top 5 was a little challenging. A little. I mean, I easily was able to do it because it's just there are certain songs I love off this album, and certain songs that are just okay. I mean, they're good. They're
Yeah,
good.
the love theme, Apollonia, is really good. I mean, but again, I don't know. It's very hard for me to pick any top 5 because it's a unit to me. Like
I kind of feel the same way. Like these
yeah.
were all good in their own ways, but they were all good together. That
Yes.
there was not something that was necessarily better than another, but I guess I ranked them in the fact of what ones I might end up hitting play on more often, or honestly too, when I'm in the kitchen, just hit play on this thing, hit shuffle. Doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter forwards, backwards, start in the middle, do whatever you want. I think
Right.
the whole album works well like that. So, and I say that in the kitchen stuff because my dad did say we did a lot of stuff with family in the kitchen, and I feel like
Right.
these just make me want to sit down and have like a solid good meal with my family. Just makes me want to be with them.
I think you
Yeah,
said it right though. You could hit shuffle on it. I mean, when I picked this one out, I was like looking at pictures of, my travels to Sicily, and it's exactly what you said, Jamie. It's like you can play it on shuffle. It doesn't really matter what order it's in. It's all
Yeah,
part of one. Yeah,
and it just
compilation.
it always brings like it kind of gives you an upbeat. It's not like it has to be a fast upbeat song, but it gives you a happy, or it hits the different serotonin levels. It just hits those dopamines. It just gets into your bloodstream a little different, with kind of getting you happy and excited
Mm.
for the moment or for the day or whatever. I'm super jealous that you've been across over to Italy. I've wanted to go for a very long time. So I feel like I would be watching the crap out of The Godfather and other random movies here and there, just get like in the zone for it. And I think this this soundtrack, probably versus the other ones that I saw for the other Godfather movies, I feel like this one's a little bit better, probably my more
oh yeah.
favorite out of them. But I don't know if it's just because I've listened to every single song and really kind of tried to review each one. But I don't know. I feel like this one's the best compilation.
I mean, because on the other compilations, anything that's amazing was already taken from this movie. Because I'm sure the Godfather waltz is in every single album for all 3 movies. But
Yeah, that's true, I guess, because that makes sense. Yeah.
and I mean, I did pick a top 5 just because I could, and I mean, my number 5 was the love theme because I couldn't stop laughing to myself because the ironicness of this love theme playing, and then he takes her back to America, beats her up a little bit, and then she blows up in a car. It's kind of like the irony of it all. It's like, what the fuck? I'm like, that's mafia life, but Jesus Christ, like, brutal. It's almost a comment on the times because
Mm.
you couldn't make this movie nowadays and get away with that scene of him slapping the crap out of her in the bedroom. You couldn't get away with that nowadays. It would be looked upon very harshly by people. But my number 4 though is The Pickup, because I love that part of the movie. And that's the thing. The whole time I was listening to this album, the movie was playing in my head while I'm listening to it, because I've seen it so many times I can just picture all the scenes. But The Pickup, I love that. It's a very dark, creepy tone. And it's perfect. It's perfect. It'd be good video game music. Well, actually, it was video game music, because I played all the video games. I played both Godfather video games, and they were freaking incredible. But my number 3 was The New Godfather, because I like it because it's kind of like that finale song, and it's a Godfather waltz, but like changed for like next generation almost in a way. Like they make it sound newer. So my number 2 is The Halls of Fear, because once again that creepiness like kind of like hits home. And of course, number 1, it has to be The Godfather waltz. Like, my original freaking little cell phone I had ringtone. when you had to pay $2.99 for a ringtone back in the day. But I went through so much of my high school years emulating this movie and wanting to be freaking Don Corleone. Like, it was just the power, the freaking respect. Like, it was just every Italian boy's dream to become this. Even though, my family, as far as I know, had nothing to ever do with any kind of mafia. We grew up in New York. We grew up in mid-state New York, so there was really no mafia per se. There was some organized crime. There definitely was. Kingston was a big place during the Prohibition. But, my family was never part of it from what I've been told. I asked many times, trust me. But it just didn't, no. But yeah, you couldn't have picked a better soundtrack. I was not expecting this, and I was pleasantly surprised. So, hats off to you, sir.
Thank you.
And but all right, well, I guess I'll go next. Like, I want to save Jimmy's for last for certain reasons. But so, see, you wanted to bring a soundtrack album, and I'm like, all right, we've done one of these before. I'm like, I don't want to bring another Kevin Smith movie album, because as amazing as they always are, I'm like, I just need to go a little different route in this one. I'm like, I literally was looking through a list of like the top 100 soundtracks of all time. I'm like, what the hell do I want to bring? Looked at a bunch of like track listings. I'm like, none of these are hitting home, like are sinking to my brain right now. And I was like, you know what? I'm like, I just made an Elvis bracket for this show, and I'm like, I just watched this movie back during the summer, spring, when it was on HBO Max. So I'm like, you know what? I'm bringing the Elvis movie soundtrack, because I haven't listened to it really, and I looked at it, I'm like, crap, it's long as shit, but there's a lot of songs here that are originals that weren't even in the movie. So
yeah, I'm
like, I gotta check this out. Especially when I saw some of the names with the freaking stars on it, I'm like, I gotta check this out. So I was like, screw it, let's bring that Elvis movie soundtrack. And what can I say? I wasn't disappointed at all as long as it was. I sat through it all, and it literally took me probably 4 hours, half my workday to get through it. But I got through it, and I was rather enjoyed it. I almost thought, like, for a second, like, I'm going to be disappointed. But nope, didn't end up being disappointed, and I was happy with it. But what did you, and of course, it's the king. It's the king. You got to respect the king of rock and roll. So, as much as my former co-host used to always want to hate on him, you got to respect the king of rock and roll. But what did you think of this soundtrack, Matt?
I loved it. I think Baz Luhrmann is a genius. I think he, reinvents things all the time, and uniquely, this soundtrack is no different. It kind of goes into, the classic Elvis, but then there's, like, the Eminem CeeLo song King and I just like, I think that's brilliant. Like, I really do. Like, that one fires me up. Just because there's so much backstory of Elvis in it. And just the two different types of artists between, Eminem and CeeLo. Again, I love mashup artists when they collaborate, and because especially when they're two uniquely different artists, I think there's always something really special in that. So that's definitely one that I loved. I am a huge Casey Musgraves fan. She can't really sing anything wrong to me. I think she's just just got just a pure voice and a pure element to her vibe as an artist. So I loved her rendition of Can't Help Falling in Love. I really, this was actually one that should say it's two really, because Hound Dog and Trouble, Austin Butler, I think that is something that I've always wanted to do as an actor, also a singer, is really inhabit somebody's voice. I am a method actor, and so you find different ways to get into the psyche of characters, and the way that Austin found his voice in channeling Elvis, I thought was brilliant. I don't think it should go understated how hard that is to do, because it really is hard to do. It takes a lot of work and a lot of reflection, because again, this is a character that exists, unlike the one that I played in Somewhere in Montana, that was a fictitious character. Elvis is probably one of the most well-known characters of all time.
No pressure, people,
right.
not at all.
so to do it justice, I mean, I have to say, I just thought his work was brilliant.
And he was one of the more larger than life characters you ever hear about in this world. I mean,
well, and I wish that my uncle was alive to be able to see, like he did. Like, there's those people out there that have the natural voices for Elvis covers and stuff, and that was my uncle. And he toured around the area and did a lot of fun community things, and he was Elvis. He was known for it. Very cool. But, like, when I saw this, I haven't seen the whole movie, but when I listened to this album, it made me think, man, I kind of wonder what he would think. Just, like, what his thoughts would be, and then, like, some of his and like what he would have wanted to do with the songs a little bit more than what they did. So this album, the soundtrack in general got me thinking a lot more, I guess, other than it was just a diverse thinking because of the mashups, I guess you could say, and the features and all that.
It's unique too, because Elvis wanted to be an actor himself, but he had essentially become so big that he wasn't able to be seen any other way but Elvis. And I think, Austin really did a great job of honoring the fact that, like,
very limited really on screen. Now that you say that, I guess I never thought about that.
Yeah.
I mean, but he also, he put out like 70 movies, I think it was. Like some ridiculous amount of movies he was actually in. That
really?
They're all basically him playing him, but they were all like
right.
Jailhouse Rock was its own movie. Blue Hawaii was its own movie. Like they did, like they're basically based on songs or albums he did. But he was,
he was an actor, but he apparently was a really great actor, and he never really got to not
expand.
Be Elvis.
That's a bummer.
Well, that's also, and that's one thing you can't really tell by the album from this movie, but Tom Hanks did an amazing role playing his manager in the movie, and that's why I wanted to watch the movie to begin with, because Tom Hanks and him playing the Colonel, because my grandma, I grew up with my grandma being the biggest Elvis fan ever. She married my grandfather because he looked like Elvis, and
that's a good reason.
Her whole, not everybody sees it. I can kind of see it when I look at old pictures of him, but not everybody sees it. And literally, if the back room of her house had Elvis plates all over it, had Elvis posters, it was just fully covered. But yet she never really would listen to Elvis at all, because I think his death just depressed her to the point where she couldn't listen to him anymore after he died. But she was his biggest fan. She used to rock me asleep in the pool when I was a little kid, singing "Love Me Tender." So it's Elvis. I never really got into him as much as she did, but as I got older, I kind of started appreciating him more. Hearing some of his songs when we did the Rolling Stone Top 500 Songs bracket a couple months ago, that kind of, it got to me again. I'm he's actually a really good singer, and the movie just sunk that in. And Austin Butler did that, because Kevin Smith got to know Austin Butler on some project they worked on together, and he said that kid basically became Elvis for a good 8 months. Every time he talked to him, he sounded like Elvis. He would talk like Elvis. He would walk like Elvis. He literally method acted into that role for 8 months straight. And it was...
Yeah, I'll speak to that too, because I think method acting gets a lot of bad rap, but I think it's because, there is... you could call it a bastardized Hollywood version of some people in the way they see method acting.
Oh.
But, the good side of method acting is that you really do. You inhabit the character, and you find ways to really embody the psyche. And the there's different acting principles that I've dived into, whether it be Stanislavski, Meisner. I did a lot of kabuki training, which is Japanese art, because I'm a fourth degree black belt in Okinawan Shorin-ryu, which is a form of karate. So like physicality has always been a big thing for me as an actor. And you find ways to essentially build yourself a foundation, whatever that is, because every process to an actor is uniquely their own. But once you find that, I mean, method is great. I lost 25 pounds for the role of Fabian Verdugo in 6 weeks. And I did that because I felt like uniquely this was a director that forgot to eat meals. He was fighting for something, and he didn't sleep, and he was constantly on edge. And so for me, it gave me the ability, and I did it with, I mean, again, I always say there's a team of people around you that don't get enough credit. I mean, Jennifer and Nathan DeTracy are, two great nutrition and fitness coaches, and they told me exactly what to do. It was 5 small meals a day, and it was, because it was important to me. And so they told me the types of workouts that I would do, because again, I lost a lot of muscle and fat because I wanted to just lean out. I felt like this character was very lean, so Matt likes to drink protein shakes and lift weights. I didn't do any of that for Fabian because that's not who he is. So with Austin, it's that same thing. It's method acting. It becomes, just kind of becoming the character and finding ways to build yourself the foundation. That way, when you're on set, you have so many behavioral elements that you can work off of based on all the work that you've done, that you just kind of forget it all, and then you just get to play. And that's when the magic happens.
Yeah, I mean, method acting, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, as long as unless you're playing the Joker, then there seems to be something wrong with it. But we won't
exactly.
put it back.
Right. Well, and that's the stuff, unfortunately, that gets, well known. It gets broadcast to the world. But I mean, the reality is, for every one of those, and I know what you're talking about, there are hundreds of method actors out there that, are positive. And what did Johnny Depp say once? He's like, I could be method all the way, but if I'm at Crafty and there's Doritos, well, I love Doritos, I'm not going to pretend that they don't exist. You know what I mean? So it's again, it's about being a good collaborator, and being a good collaborator is also learning how to shift to be yourself and not lose yourself in the character, but really find ways to essentially learn. I think Fabian, for me, with this role, I can speak to, is the first character that I ever fell in love with. And so I was able to bring a lot of myself into him, but I also found a lot of him that was myself. So it just becomes this really interesting, psychological thing. And it's why I love acting, because it's a human exploration in yourself, and you get to do a lot of really neat things with it. So yeah, I think method is actually a lot better of a practice than most people give it credit for, because they hear the horror stories, but most of them are really, really good.
I mean, it is. I mean, to be able to actually do that and put yourself in the mind of somebody else for that long it's a skill. It's a skill that not everybody can do. A lot of people can't shrug off themselves to put themselves in somebody else's mind for any period of time. So very committed. It's committed, and that's amazing that someone can actually do that and have that discipline. But Jamie, what did you think of Elvis?
I have to say, I honestly didn't get through all the songs I tried. I did add it to my Spotify, so this way I can get through all of them. I knew most of them, obviously, from my exposure. And like you too, Jeremy, honestly, I grew up on Elvis with my uncle singing it all the time, him being a huge fan on top of it, and some of my family too. But I didn't have the appreciation for his music as much until I got older.
Yep.
So I did look at this album differently. I did enjoy the newer songs in it, and the different features and mashups together, and the actor that played him and everything. I don't know. I just felt like I need to sit down and watch this movie. And usually it's the movie that gets me into the soundtrack, but this time it's the soundtrack that's kind of getting me into the movie. So I think that's kind of fun. So again, like I said earlier, I gave all of our albums 4 stars. So this was another 4-star for me. 4 to 5.
I mean, I'd honestly give Zelda 4.5 because it's got a few songs on there that I'm like, yeah,
I have a feeling I could bump it up to a 4.5 when I get through the whole entire thing. I mean, I don't know. I'm not mad at it at all. So I'm glad I added it.
I honestly wasn't impressed by the Casey Musgrave song. I'm not. It's too country for me. It's too country. I know Elvis was country at part of his career, but still, she's too.
But she did give a good, unique twist and voice and version to it. I feel for how much I listened to that song growing up, hearing her voice and knowing that my tone back in the day when I was doing my thing with choir and really becoming my own and feeling out if I was going to do some singing and stuff like that again, it's those tones that really kind of settle my soul in that moment. And she kind of gave that song that feeling for me. So I really do like that version.
Well, Matt, actually, wait, no, I go first this one. Oh yeah, sweet. Yeah, Jamie, you're gonna kill me, but I did have a top 13. It's a long fucking album, and I tried to be right selective.
Okay, I'm not mad. I think I've got 3 honorable mentions and 2 big fat no's, so it's okay.
I mean, my first honorable mention, Matt already mentioned in a way, but Hound Dog, Austin Butler's version, I love that song no matter how it's done. But Austin Butler's version is really well done on that. My number 12, though, was a song I never heard before, and I was actually really impressed by it, and that was Craw Fever. That's an Elvis song I didn't know existed even, and it was
that was one of mine too, and I just love like the operatic elements to it. Yeah, that's a really cool one.
I mean, it almost reminds me of
We actually played some of this song for fun back in band. Like every time we would get towards the end of band season and towards the end of our whole school year, we would get together as a band and play like all the good tunes. And this was one, and it was a lot of fun to play together in an ensemble. I won't lie.
It kind of reminds me of who the fuck? Oh my god, how am I forgetting his name? Chancey would be slapping me right now. Who's saying My Ding-a-ling? Shit. No, what's the name?
No, but I know what you're talking about.
No, not that song. But who sang that song? I can't think of the fuck.
I don't know who sang it, but I know what you mean.
Chuck Berry.
Familiarity to it.
Chuck Berry. No, Chuck Berry. Like it kind of reminds me of Chuck Berry's Havana Moon, because it's like it's the one song that like sounds different from every other song they do. So I mean that's kind of where I was going with that. But my number 11 was Don't Fly Away, the PNAU remix, which I have no idea who the fuck PNAU is. I never heard of them, but it was actually pretty well done. I like that. I like the mashup with Elvis. And then my number 10, as you said already, was Trouble. Austin Butler's version of Trouble is very well done. Very, very well done. And then I almost forgot this song was in the movie, but my number 9 was Tutti Frutti because I like the actor who plays Little Richard in the movie. Like the actor who plays him does a really good job with Tutti Frutti. But and my number 8 is definitely my favorite Austin Butler song in the whole movie, and that's Baby Let's Play House. Because I mean, it's the first time you really hear him sing as Elvis, and the fact that it's the first time all the girls go crazy because of his wiggle, and it makes you think. It's like, was Elvis really that damn well hung that's why all the girls are crazy for him? It's because he's shaking his hips up there and swinging back and forth, breaking his knees. Like Jesus, like that's just all I can think about when I see that song and that scene in the movie. But my number 7 was Any Day Now, because that's another Elvis song I never really knew, and that's a really well done song. I thought. I love the trumpets and everything in the orchestra for that one too. And number 6 was The King and I, because I have a hate relationship with Eminem, being a juggalo and all that, but I thought that song was very well done, because I mean, Eminem has had references to Elvis for years in his songs, but to hear him actually like kind of honor Elvis, and CeeLo Green is all right. I'm not a big fan of him either, but I actually like that song. So you hear that, Jamie? Eminem's my honorable mentions. But
sorry, I'm listening to the song right now, so I didn't want to take myself off of mute, pretty much. But yes, I agree. I'm glad you like Eminem.
This one song. Don't get overexcited, girl. But
Hey, that
number
was my song that I used right before I went into like final callbacks for Broadway's was Lose Yourself. I just like I like to fight for, you know, my dream. I've always been a fighter, and you know, Eminem fires me up. Like, you know, what can I say? Like, I love his music. I love his fight.
Lose Yourself definitely has that fucking ability. Trust me, I get that. But my number 5 was It's Only Love, because I think I've heard that song before, but it's been a while. And the trumpets and piano in that song are freaking incredible. My number 4 was the 68 Comeback Special, because I love a good medley by any artist. And that was a very well done medley and of all his greatest hits. So, I mean, who doesn't like hearing all like little snippets of all his greatest songs in one song? My number 3 was Unchained Melody, because I never really heard the full Elvis version of that. I always do the Righteous Brothers version.
Mhm.
But the Elvis version of that is so fucking beautiful. I mean, he has a voice for it. He has the freaking voice for it. I can see why he did religious music too, because he has that like church voice kind of. But
Absolutely.
my number 2 was Burning Love, the film mix of it, because I like the scene in the movie where that plays, and it was a really good song done by him. And of course, my number 1, possibly, well, you know, not my favorite Elvis song of all time. I can tell you that right now, but close. My number 1 is Suspicious Minds, the film edit, because the Suspicious Minds is one of my favorite songs Elvis has done. It's so entertaining. Like the trumpets. I have a big thing for trumpets and saxophones, so the whole horn section I have a big thing for. So I mean, that song is just perfect, and I love the lyrics. Like the lyrics are amazing. And Austin Butler did a really good job with that one too in the movie. I don't know why that version wasn't on that album, but he did a really good job in the movie with that too. But Suspicious Minds is a fucking incredible song. And it's actually an interesting point now. It's his career where he wrote that. So it's other people figure that themselves. So I don't need to spoil shit. But did you have a top 5, Matt, besides ones you already mentioned, or no?
There was 1 or 2 that I didn't mention, but everybody else has mentioned. The only other one, I'll say is If I Can Dream, which Mainskin was. He did it with that raspy kind of like, you know, kind of new age rock, which I thought was a great reinvention of that song. You know, obviously Elvis is more legit. You said like obviously that kind of like gospel religious full-bodied voice is what you hear a lot of with Elvis traditionally, but I really did like that you know, remix of Mainskin doing If I Can Dream as well.
I mean, I was thinking about it today. Imagine if Elvis didn't die. Like, imagine if he was a Frank Sinatra.
Did he die?
Well, no. As Case and Men in Black, Keith went home. But
That's right.
Yeah, he'd be hanging out with Tupac. He's alive.
He's alive.
Him and Tupac smoking reefer and eating peanut butter and fluff sandwiches. But
yes,
I mean, it's imagine though if he was still in the line, if he was still like, he probably would have lived if he lived a full life until like at least 2010, I imagine, based on his age. So imagine what it would have been like if he actually performed like duets with like 90s stars, 2000 stars, like the amount of music we could have had out of this man. There's already, I mean, I already put like together a 500 song bracket of his. Imagine he would have put out probably 5,000 songs if he lived a full life. Like it would have been amazing.
Yeah, he never would have stopped for sure.
But I blame the Colonel because the pills he had him fucking doing and to keep him going and sped up all the time just fucked with him. Too bad. But fucking Colonel. But Jamie, what were your top 5?
Okay, so honorable mentions. I've got Suspicious Minds, Craw Fever, and Don't Fly Away, the remix. I got Two Big Fat No's, which is Cotton Candy Land, and Product of the Ghetto. I just couldn't get behind those songs.
I like Product of the Ghetto to some degree because it's not. I mean, it wasn't on my list because it wasn't that great, but it's a remix of one of my favorite Elvis song of all time.
Yeah, I just didn't feel it. I just didn't. But So number 5 for me, I have two of them because it was a close tie. So between Burn and Love or The King and I love both of them. My number 4, I Got a Feeling in My Body. Number 3, If I Can Dream. Number 2, Can't Help Falling in Love, and it's not just her version. I'm thinking about all versions that I've heard of. And then number 1, I have to say, is Vegas. That was a fun one for me. So
Vegas
for
was
what I
good.
listened to, the whole thing was a lot of fun. But I think what kind of caught me off guard was the Doja Cat and Eminem with CeeLo and just some of these like Diplo or whatever and a few other people that had besides Casey and Stevie Nicks. I mean, it's just all the features in here. I'm just like, okay, this is gonna get interesting. So overall, that four stars. I'm not just I don't know. I'm not convinced that they have to have a lot more music than what we like. How much did you say there was for the other ones, the other albums, the other lists?
I mean, what the other version of this album?
The other versions, yeah, because this was what 36. I have a feeling they had a hell of a time trying to wire this down.
The other version was about 2.5 hours long.
Okay, I was gonna say because I'm just like, there's got to be way more songs than this, but just in general, yeah, this is hour 54.
I mean, half these songs weren't actually in the movie.
I know, but just in general for the Elvis movie and stuff like that, I'm surprised that they didn't put more features on there just to kind of give a little bit extra additions out there, make more money.
I mean, it was well done, and I mean, all I could think about for the last day though is what if Elvis was still alive and he did a version of Bye 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 with NSYNC.
I just wonder like how many features he would have really done with other artists and stuff like that. What ones would have really turned out to be like not just a one-hit wonder, but turned out to be one of those songs that changed a lifetime. I'm just curious what he would have brought to the table, you know.
I sent a video to Chansey like 6-7 months ago of this real artist on Facebook that does like covers of other songs that he does in the voices of other artists. And someone asked him to do Du Hast by Rammstein as Elvis. And it actually sounded really good as Elvis. And Chansey, of course, wrote back to me. He's like, you asshole. I hope you stub your toe for a month worth of Mondays for freaking 6 months.
Yeah, it got me rolling with thinking like, I wonder what music he would have, you know, came up with and what he would have done that would end up being a game changer in the music industry. Because he did a lot of great music. So
imagine if he did rap. Imagine if he did some rap in the early 90s. Imagine if he got into rap in the early 90s. It could have been Run DMC and Elvis.
A Run DMC and him doing a gospel type of rap, maybe get that Reverend going, and I bet they would have came up with a good one, but not street rap.
or even Boys II Men and Elvis. That would have been fucking incredible.
Oh, yeah. That would have been interesting. Not so bad there. Not so bad.
I'll make love to you.
Want to pair him up with your favorite rapper, Jeremy. You know, Elvis and Eminem, obviously.
No.
Obviously.
I mean, you want to pair him up with my favorite rapper? He'll be doing some Insane Clown Posse rapping.
That would be awkward.
That would be amazing. That would be amazingly funny. But
oh my gosh, no.
Painting his face and everything. Oh my god, I could see that. That'd be hilarious.
No way, Jose, sir.
Yeah, it was definitely a tribute album. I think everybody kind of wanted a piece of it. Like you said, Jamie, Stevie Nicks. I mean, God, like she's a goddess on earth. I mean, you know, it's just everybody wanted to pay tribute to how much he gave to inspire so many artists in his generation and obviously to this present day.
It straight says on his Spotify profile, like, nobody changed 20th century music more than Elvis did. The way he went through genres and just would switch genres up every couple albums, like nobody changed it like he did. The versatility of it, but yet he gets hated on constantly for supposedly stealing music from African Americans. I don't quite get it. I mean, everybody did back then to some degree. Everybody did because they were voices that wouldn't get represented. So these white stars took their songs and made them big. Yeah. Like it's just the way it happened. No one could do anything about it. But Jamie, what album did you decide to bring for our soundtrack special?
The moment you told me what your album choices were, I instantly said, okay, if we doing soundtrack, we're going to do Guardians of the Galaxy. For some reason, besides a few movies growing up, this was one that as soon as I heard the movie, I was like, I got to get that soundtrack. Like that, I don't think they could have done a better one. I mean, obviously Volume 2 came out and I wasn't surprised. Another winner, but Volume 1 was my favorite. So yeah, absolutely. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 coming at you. That was a 4, almost 5-star rating right there on my end.
It's funny. I almost picked it. I'm
glad you didn't. I'm glad you didn't.
I thought it was too. I'm like, no. It's too obvious a choice for me because everybody knows my love for Marvel. Everybody knows things. I would just assume that I would pick that one. So
True. Like, no. There's a lot of other good movie soundtracks out there. I'm sure I could have chose, but that was it just clicked for me. So I feel like when that happens, when we come across each other, like figuring out what albums we're gonna do, I'm like if there's one that just stands out, there's a reason for it. So
I almost wanted to bring 8 Mile. I almost wanted to bring Hustle and Flow. Smack that hoe. But
Hustle and Flow, I forgot about that. Would have been a good one too.
I for chance, I almost wanted to bring that one just to get some 3-6 Mafia up in here. But
okay.
Jamie, like, do you feel like Jeremy is a secret like Eminem like lover?
No,
like
I really feel like he is
like he doesn't want to admit it, but like it's there, right?
It is. I feel like
I'm feeling that too.
He loves everything around it that he's willing to admit.
2 against 1 here, Jeremy.
As a hardcore fan, I respect the Eminem of my youth. I respect the Eminem until he got sober.
So you're saying you do like him?
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing too.
When he was downing pills like Mad Child, yes, I loved him. Once he got sober, I couldn't fucking stand his music anymore, and I got sick of it. But when he everything up to Encore is pretty much everything from like 8 Mile Time to Encore is fucking golden. Everything
just
after that, before that,
an actor like me going in for Frankie Valli in Jersey Boys or Fiyero in Wicked and like literally blasting "Lose Yourself" like right before I go in there and start singing
it's one of the best. It's one of the best like build up songs of all time. So how could you not? But I get that. Yeah. I mean, that came out when I was like in 6th grade, I think, that movie. So I literally used to blast that in my headphones walking through my school. Like it was just the way it was. Everybody did. It was the biggest song at the moment at that time. But it's a classic. Lose Yourself is a classic. I never could hate Eminem for that one because it's just a classic song. But like some of his earlier songs are classic. They will. I've always said that. But I just can't stand Eminem from like 2008 to current. Jamie Braun, like his newest album, a couple episodes ago, it was fucking garbage. So
sure did.
But
But how do you feel about this album, Jeremy?
Well, I was gonna let our guest tell us first what he thought about this album because
that works too.
Yeah, there are 5 that stuck out to me. I mean, I really love like the opening song because I just feel like it's such a hodgepodge. I love the tribal chant of "Hooked on a Feeling." Like it just fires you up right away. It's like it just kind of brings you into this like weird world of anything goes. I really do like that. That song is like I don't know why I just can't hear it and not start smiling. You know what I mean?
That's true. That's true. I think now that you say that, I probably do because I got Groot in my head bobbing around like
I mean
little years there. Okay.
If you want an even bigger smile to that song, picture David Hasselhoff coming out singing that song at the roast of David Hasselhoff.
There you go. Yeah.
That
I might have to watch that later.
that was my first introduction to that song was David Hasselhoff coming out singing it as own roast. Nice. But Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I don't blame you. The chanting in that song was fucking amazing.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Oompa,
I like the
yaka.
bass line and the guitar echoes in Spirit of the Sky. I like that one. Spirit in the Sky is a really good one. I Want You Back because I mean, come on, MJ, hello. Come On Get Your Love is just a great opening beat, and I love the vocals of that one. And then Cherry Bomb is obviously a classic for me as well.
Yeah. Okay. I'll get to my top 5 in a few minutes here, but I'll just say I knew I was on Love This album as soon as Jamie said it. And honestly, it was the fastest Jamie ever picked an album for the show, so I was like, wow. But usually I'm still waiting to hear the album for next week's show, and I've been waiting for like 24 hours now for the choice. But I pick my albums in like fucking 10 minutes usually. It doesn't take me long, but there's so much music I want to bring that I have so many options always. But I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy, yes, it's funny. Kevin Smith always said, he's like, when I heard they're making a Guardians of the Galaxy movie, I was like, what are they, fucking crazy? No one knows what the hell that is. And I had the same thought because I was reading the Guardians of the Galaxy comic books before the movie came out, which they completely changed once the movie came out, but that's a different story. And I mean, the soundtrack for all 3 of those movies is freaking incredible. The soundtrack for the Christmas special is incredible. Who doesn't like to hear Kevin Bacon sing? But I mean, the first album, the first movie had the greatest songs in it. So when you brought it, I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, I know all these songs. Let's do this shit. So
I think it's like what you just said about Kevin Smith. It's like, like he didn't know what it was going to be. Well, the soundtrack almost in a beautiful way doesn't know what it's going to be, but it doesn't make any apologies for it. It's just like it's a hodgepodge of like a bunch of really great, feel good songs that they just like threw together, and it just became like this awesome soundtrack.
I bow down to the great James Gunn. I bow down to the great James Gunn for everything he does, and he made Guardians what it is. He made Guardians what it is, all 3 movies. So,
sure.
But Jamie, what were your top 5 in your own album before I start giving mine?
Yeah, I was just talking about I should grab my Lego cassette thing that I have. I think it's over there downstairs because I did the little Groot and it came with the little Guardians of the Galaxy cassette. Anyways, my top 5. Okay. Honorable mentions are going to be Something with a Ring to It and Spirit in the Sky.
Yep.
I mean, Spirit in the Sky and a few of the other songs, I've heard them elsewhere, but I feel like the moments when some of these songs happened make the songs that much better. So Fooled Around and Fell in Love was my number 5, but I kind of almost struggled putting Hooked on a Feeling as my number 4 because of the moment in the movie when that comes on and how it is everybody's smiling and it's an upbeat and it kind of gets you going song. But I feel like it's got so many other memories for me attached to that song. I felt like it was great for the movie, but my number 3 was Come and Get Your Love. I had number 2 as Moonage Daydream, little David Bowie action. I felt like that was good. That was fun. There was just something about the vibes in that song that it just fit for it. I mean, I wanted to put in Jackson 5 on my top 5, but I'm like, no, that's not where I originally heard that song from. It's great for the movie, but not a top 5 for me. I did Ain't No Mountain, though, as my number 1 because they tie it into the movie more than once. And I believe also in 2 and 3, they tie it in there too. So for me, it's just that song. I know it's not just exclusive to the movie, but it had so many great moments in the movie that I had a hard time. I had Coming Home to You as my number 1. But then Ain't No Mountain just sticks out the most to me for that movie. That and Hooked on a Feeling probably do, just because they do have those fun upbeats. Yeah, that's my top 5.
And I believe Matt already did his top 5 for this, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I had 2 honorable mentions, and I'm the same as you, Jamie. I didn't want to put I Want You Back on it because it's just that song has so much other recollection to me in other movies, so I can't. And it's Michael Jackson. I mean, Michael Jackson has his own place in my heart for everything he's done. But my first honorable mention was Spirit in the Sky. Norman Greenbaum's always amazing when he does songs, so I had to put that there. And my other honorable mention, which probably would have been higher, but I'm kind of Bowie'd out lately because he's been in a lot of things I've done lately on this show and other shows. But Moonage Daydream is my other honorable mention because I can't not put Bowie on the list. It's fucking Bowie. He's a fucking icon. But my number 5 was Fooled Around and Fell in Love. I always loved that song, and they did really well in this movie. My number 4 is Cherry Bomb. Because ever since I saw the Runaways movie that came out in like 2008 or 9, I fucking fell in love with the Runaways, and I love Cherry Bomb. Just for how, to people our generation, it's like, it's not even that big a deal. That song's not even that dirty. Yeah, in the freaking 80s, that was a really dirty song. Like, that was something that wasn't done before. So, it's got a special place in my heart. And my number 3 was Oh Child, because I love that song. That song always has a special place in my heart. Like, it's someday things are going to get better. But, you know. And my number 2 was Come and Get Your Love, because, 1, Redbone, greatest singer name ever. Redbone. And it's also the theme song for F is for Family, which I fucking love it as the theme song for that more than its place in Guardians. But in Guardians, it has a really good place. I think it's a song they play right at the end, I think, of Guardians, if I'm not mistaken. When they're like flying off, like at that before the credits. And my number 1 was Hooked on a Feeling, of course, because Ooga Yaka, Ooga Yaka, Ooga Yaka. Like I love the chanting. And plus I can't hear it without thinking of David Hasselhoff now, and that makes me laugh. So
gosh, we have a lot of crossover between the three of us on that one. I would say like literally 3 of the top 5 songs for all 3 of us we had.
Yes, I agree on that.
That was pretty cool.
I mean, I had a feeling. It's some of the most popular songs in human history on that album. So
were you hooked on a feeling?
Hooked on that. Hooked on a beat. Hooked on that beat, maybe.
Did you lose yourself?
Not in this moment.
Ooh, child.
Child.
I didn't get no monster.
I gotta give you kudos for that intro too, man. That was great. I was like literally like counting songs. I'm like, damn, this is really good.
He does this every week too, and he did this like for so long beforehand that every time you get ready for Jeremy's answer, you're like, here we go. And it was just so much more to it. And I'm like,
that was fun. That was great.
It is.
Man.
It
that
is
was awesome.
Makes one go, do that for me every time. Yeah, so now he does one for me.
I enjoyed it. That's great.
See, but I can't do it for you like I used to do it for my old co-host, because that was I used to make the ones that just fucking like fuck with him so bad, and literally one of the episodes, it was like about him being an old gray man reading his stories to kids down by the river in the woods, and he's like, eh. He's like, you ain't make me sound like no goddamn pedophile. Like, he starts flipping his shit. It was the funniest thing in the fucking world. I'm like, that wasn't my intention, you asshole. But it was just the funniest thing in the world. Like, oh, God. Did you just fucking call me?
I bumped the button, maybe. I didn't mean to. I just wanted you on surround sound, evidently.
Oh, call me maybe. But, well, folks, we talked about these albums thrice once again, and it was a fun-ass episode. We had a lot of good laughs and good memories. We want to thank Matt for coming on, and go check out Somewhere in Montana. It sounds like a thrill ride of a movie and a fun time, and honestly, after watching Matt for an hour and 6 minutes here, I kind of want to see him in a movie. So he's got that personality. But, Matt, tell the people, where can they find you and everything you do one more time so they can find you?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on tonight. This was a lot of fun, a much different podcast than most. So thank you for bringing me on to, into your world, right? This was a great escape for an hour. For me, follow along at Matt Drago, MattDrago on Instagram. Like I said, you got the link tree there. You've got my website if you want to check out all the stuff that I'm doing as an actor, mattdrago.com. DragonHunterProductions.com is my collaboration with my wife and building our team. And our next venture is to like Fabian Verdugo, right? Because he, kind of lives on through me, is to tell stories in little pockets of the country that feel like they don't have a voice, which is very much in line with this character. And those are the great things about method acted, as we talked about today. Sometimes like you really resonate with these characters and they become a part of you, and there's something really beautiful about that. So Dragon Hunter Productions, you've got my IMDb, all my other social media channels, but honestly, I'm really active on Instagram and Instagram only. I can only do so much social media. So so follow me at Matt Drago, and you'll know what's happening in my life and my journey as an actor and a creative.
Already followed you. But and yes, folks, go check it out. And Jimmy, where can they find you?
Well, as we all know, if you fuck around and find out. But if you go to the Book of Faces, I've got my Instagram on there. I got my Snapchat. I've got it all on there. But I'm under my name for Jamie. Got to make sure you spell it with the 2 I's. I'm under Jamie Fuller, and I am under Slipknot Chica and Slipknot Chica 17. So just plug away and you'll find me. I know I can be Googled, so good luck.
Yeah, it's fun being able to be Googled. So if you Google me, all you find is my podcast. So there you go. But you can find both your musers on Facebook as Squatchy Largefoot, our mascot / Sasquatch intelligent creature thing that likes to post our shit. I don't know. He's still trying to explain everything to me. I don't really understand him half the time. You can also find us as Uncensored, Untamed, and Unapologetic Podcast Collective, UCubed Facebook group. You can find us on XX Baby in the Gram as that Juggalo Bastard. You can find us on TikTok, as long as it exists, as that Juggalo Bastard Podcast. And you can find us on YouTube as Maniacal Music Musings. And of course, we are a proud member of the Parapost Network, even though we couldn't stream there tonight because Facebook sucks balls. But come back next week, where we have the third guest to bring an Avenged Sevenfold album. Why? I don't know, but the third fucking time. I've been wrong about them a couple times now, so let's see if I can be wrong a third time. But come back and see what albums we decide to bring. I already picked mine, but I like to surprise motherfuckers, so surprise, bitches. I will see you all next week. And thank you once again, Matt, before we go.